Ordinary people doing extraordinary things. You know, it's always kind of a surprise when I come to this because I had no idea of the preparation that Kevin and everyone put into this. And, you know, seeing those inspiring videos of other ordinary people doing extraordinary things, really, you know, that's what we're about too. We're about taking something that's ordinary, what we do, and turning it into something that's extraordinary. At Roger's party last night, I was moved by talking with a couple of gentlemen that were within our company. You know, we've had, as many of you know, a couple of tragedies here very recently. Merle Hinton recently lost his wife, and Al Sulek lost his daughter and gravely injured his grandson. You know, in the course of talking with both of them, I was really inspired because the strength of character of these gentlemen that took a tragedy and turning it into something good and bettering themselves. And, you know, it's quite remarkable when tragedy happens to you, how you can, well, I don't want to say overcome it, because that's the wrong word, but benefit from it and taking something good out of it and the things that you can do for other people and helping. And oftentimes we grow the greatest during tragedy. And I just want to take my hat to those two gentlemen for what they've endured. You know, a lot of what we do too is taking an opportunity that's put before us and to make it into something extraordinary. And this would seem to be an ordinary job, and it is if you approach it that way. The motto of our company is the best advertising and people development company, period. And you know, I began to think about that, and I think, you know, we all want to grow our careers. We all want to get better at what we do. But I began to wonder about what that meant. Best advertising company, sure, but the best people development company. That means we have to develop ourselves. You know, and when I see all these things about what's happening in technology and the change that's going on, and I see the world's going to run us over if we don't start to keep up with them, and the things that we have to do to keep up, what are we doing to better ourselves? What are we doing to keep up with the rest of the world, not only in what we do day to day, but how we're developing ourselves? Well, a lot of that is put on you, it's put on me, it's put on the leaders of the company to be the best people development company. From sharing the resources that we have and acquired through knowledge of markets, through how we go about best practices, how do we improve ourselves, how do we get better at what we do, oftentimes by exactly what we do on the conference call, sharing our successes, encouraging others to get better, sharing the secrets of what we've learned with others so that we can all grow better together. And beyond that, outside study. You know, we've listened to John Maxwell tapes, we've listened to Brian Tracy things I do from time to time, reading sales books, or any kind of information that makes you better at what you do. And, you know, the psychology of dealing with people and getting better at what we do is how we're going to get better at people development. So this is a task not only for me, for Kevin and for Roger, but for all of us, to teach others what we've learned. Now, getting back to the 5-year plan, you know, when I told Kevin this was going to be my topic, I says, you know, this is development, it's a season of change. What are we doing to get better? We should all have a 5-year plan for ourselves and for our own growth. And, you know, I don't want to do year after year what I did the year before, because we understand what happens is the world passes us by, and our competition will pass us by if we don't change, if we don't keep up with what's coming down the road. So how do we incorporate that? How do we get better at what we do? How do we learn and face the new challenges of tomorrow? So this is a 5-year plan, but it's really more of a 5-point plan. It doesn't happen to happen 1 year at a time, but I think you'll find that the order is important on how we progress this. Do you have the next slide? Okay. Year 1. Getting started, setting goals. Year 1 is your year of learning. It's the year of going out and learning the basics of what we do. Most of your learning happens in the first few months of this job. And I don't care what you've done before, for the people that have been with us for a long time, or the people just starting like Jeff. No matter what you've done before, doesn't prepare you exactly for what we do. Everything is a new challenge, and learning the basics of what we do happens in the first year. You have to work hard at this business. It's not going to come easy. People are not going to lay down for you and give you sales just because you want them. Be prepared to work 8 to 10 hours a day. Be on the conference calls every single day. This is us sharing with you. Be on the new rep calls. These happen every week, and I know when I posted them before and I've listened to Kevin, a lot of new people have exactly the same questions. You know, how do I get to the owner? What do I do when they tell me, you know, this or they tell me that? We're stuck in that, how do I get past? That's where the people development comes in. We're here to help you and to get you to the next level so that you can give encouragement to others and train them. Be a student of sales. Invest in your future, books, audio tapes. This isn't always about us telling you what we know, because we don't know everything. It's about you learning from other resources. Be a student. Surround yourself with supportive people. You know, as I've trained people in the past, I can tell pretty much the same first week if they're getting any support from their spouses. And tragically, sometimes people don't make it because I can just tell, I can read their eyes and know that their spouse isn't supporting them in what they're doing. And oftentimes that alone can lead to their failure to thrive. You need support, and you need people to surround you with support. And you can't be afraid to fail. Because I once heard the expression, the only thing, if it's worth doing, is worth doing poorly. And that may sound like a contradiction. Anything worth doing is worth doing poorly. You think, John, what are you talking about? It's worth doing well. But in order to do it well, you have to do it poorly to start with. If you've ever played a musical instrument, you don't pick it up and play a concerto with a violin or a guitar or a piano. You have to be willing to be bad to be good. And it takes practice. And there's no one that I've seen, including myself, that was ever good at this the day they started. It's something we learn day by day. Year 2. You got year 2?
Sure. You can do that.
Okay, there we go. Year 2. Take advantage of technology. You know, this is one of the things that I've really tried to do lately. And you know, we had a recent contest. I was lucky enough to win an iPad. And I already had an iPhone. And I thought, what a neat, you know, extra tool that would give me. For many people, you may not have a clue as to what technology will do for you until you begin to incorporate it. You know, I brought my iPhone up here with me, and even when I was out yesterday, just using things like, what is the temperature in Baghdad, Iraq?
It's hot in Baghdad, Iraq. About 102 degrees.
Okay. Now, was that imaginable a few years ago? Well, I don't care if the temperature is 102 in Baghdad, Iraq, but you know, the capability of what that will do for us, we have to find ways to use technology in what we do. One of the things I use it for is reminders. You know, I'll go out to my car and someone will say, well, email this to me or send this to me. And I will, what's your email address? And send me a proposal. Okay. So I go out, I type in their email address, and I hold it to my phone, and I say, email such and such. What do you want to say? And I say it, and then I correct if there's any punctuation, and I send it just like that. And I can do that before I go to the next stop. Are you all doing that? Do you have all your contacts listed? Can you call them by name? Can you send texts, emails, proposals without touching a button? Can you set reminders for yourself so when the guy says, give me a call next Friday, that you don't forget, you put that to memory? I've had to learn these things myself. You know, what technology is there to help us do? And we need to take the next step forward in what we do to incorporate this into our daily lives and to help us get better at business. I don't want to have to remember, oh, I got to call this guy after 3 o'clock on Tuesday. I want my phone to tell me to do that. And all of this is available to us. Incorporating what you can use on an iPad or an iPhone or all of these things will make your job much easier. It will make you much more efficient. Step into the 21st century. You know, I've only had an iPhone for about 4 or 5 months, but it has changed the way that I do business. Download Google Docs. Did you know that I have every ad ever written in the company on my phone? And I can turn it in, hit the print button at home and it prints it for me. You know, there's just all kinds of things that you can use. Use time-saving aids. Learn to write good and effective ad copy. You know, part of our development is not just to be a sales rep and a salesperson. It's to be a consultant to the business. When we're a consultant to the business, what does consultant mean? It means I know more about a certain phase of the business than you do, and I'm here to help you. The first year, you might not know how to write the best ad copy. You might not know the best offers to write on for hair salons, Mexican restaurants, etc. But during the second year, you should start to develop this. You should start to know what works. The best way we can be of benefit to our customers is to be able to help them, not only in selling an ad, but what's the right type of ad? How do we lay it out? What's the best response? And the best way to do that is knowledge of the market. We want to be seen to them as a resource and an aid, not as a salesperson. Salespeople are a dime a dozen. Consultants are valuable. Continue the art of selling. Learning your second year how to get better at what you do. Continue to learn. Never stop learning. Year 3. Year 3, I call this the year of relationships. Now, it doesn't mean you start this from day 1, but by the time you're in your 3rd year, you should be a master of this. You should know your customers well. You should be they should recognize you instantly, and hopefully they'll be your friends. They'll look at you as a valuable resource. So what do friends do when they get together? Okay, because that's really how I look at my job. Roger jokes with me all the time. What do you do for a living, John? Well, I visit friends and they pay me money. You know, that's what I do. I visit. Jeff was out with me yesterday. We were in Sedalia, had a good long discussion. I never talked business with them, did I? It wasn't necessary. I still got their check, but it was really more about the relationship. The selling had been done long ago, and I'm just reinforcing that and looking for more opportunities. And they see me as a friend and an ally. And we're all at different stages. I'm not there with every customer, and I never will be. You know, some, what do you want? You want money again? Yeah, we're at that stage. But what's my goal? My goal is to be a valuable asset to all my customers, and to develop new ones, and for them to get the greatest value through what we do. Leverage relationships. That is, once you know someone, let them help you with their knowledge. This is a two-way street. Who else do you know in the industry? Who else is opening up? Do you know someone in another town? Can you advertise on more than one store? You know, oftentimes when we open ourselves up to just listening to our customers, we learn from them too. And the things that we can learn can help us in businesses in other areas. It's not a two-way, it's a two-way street. Get to know your clients on a personal level. It doesn't mean that everyone has to be your best friend. That's not what it means. But what it does mean is that they value the relationship, they value your friendship, and they trust you, that you won't let them down. And let's be honest, you're going to not let down a friend if they're truly a friend, and you want to do the very best for them. Take them lunch occasionally. I take my customers out to lunch, the better ones, not all of them. But the fact is that little bit of reinvestment solidifies your base. That's your income. And reinvesting in that is a very good thing to do. Competitors in other markets. Now, someone's not going to turn you, well, go advertise with my competitor here down the street. They're not necessarily going to tell you that. But in broad markets, they know who their competitors are in surrounding markets and an area where they're not going to advertise. Ask them. Just get to know them. And you don't do this all over one night. That's why I've said, wait till at least year 3. Solidify your relationship. But this is a progression of plan. This is where you're going to be 2 or 3 years down the road. Number 3? Number 4? Year 4. This is something, building multi-unit and regional relationships is something you have to have a pretty good understanding in the company to begin to do and attempt to do well. There are a lot of buyers in relationships that have capacity to buy and purchase on many stores, regional directors for chains. I'm seeking these out and looking for them and figuring out how to coordinate business from whether it be Valvoline or Savers or a number of places that have multiple units throughout where you might only have a single or multiple decision makers with the same type of store. An example is Valvoline Motor Oil in Kansas City. I've been working with their regional director, their vice president for a number of years, and he can advertise on any store he wants to. But you have to treat each of those as an individual account. You don't take a big order and walk away from it. And you also have to have a pretty good knowledge of when the ads are actually going to run, when they're in the store. It's not a matter of just taking a big order and walking away from it. It's a matter of selling, 10, 20 individuals accounts and treating each of them separately because they're each important. That takes a little bit of knowledge on how the company works when tape's delivered, and it's not really for the novice. Corporate accounts, if we're going to do well, have to be handled properly and followed up on. But that's something that everyone should aspire to. Is you don't want to slay the dragon the first year, but nights with a lot of practice here. Have a strategic pricing is always very important in that. You've got to treat every outlet individually in terms of cost to benefit relationship on the source. So you have to structure the program for growth. Again, this is something with a little bit of experience you'll know how to do and progress in. But you also have to understand the volatility of that too. Here today, gone tomorrow. Valvoline was with me for a year, and they're taking a break for at least 6 months, no ads. So you can't build your income on something that can be very volatile from a regional standpoint. Year 5. Year 5 is when you've learned the business, and now you're ready to train others. You're ready to build a team, and you're ready to think strategically. You're going to teach and train others. You're going to pass along the information that you know and help them train others. You give speeches at conferences. You do conference calls. These are all the things that help you develop as an individual, and they bring value to the company and to others. Just in closing, I'd like to say that I've been with the company now. I'm in my 7th year, and this has kind of been the progression for me. I didn't learn everything the first year, but I want to give hope and encouragement to all the people here who have been with the company for less than a year. And maybe you're struggling a little bit. Maybe you're thinking, I don't know if this is right for me. I'm getting a lot of rejection. This doesn't, I'm uncomfortable with this. And if you're there, you're right where you should be. Because there's none of us that got to be with the company 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, Paula, Jackie, Ed, Denise, without feeling exactly what you're feeling. Feeling a little bit like, I don't know it all yet. I'm having problems dealing with customers. They don't always like me. I'm walking into a lot of businesses. It's difficult to close things. Whatever you're feeling is very ordinary. It's very expected, and we've all been there. And that's why we're always here for you, to help give you encouragement. Because I'll tell you, there's not a single one of you, a single thought that you've experienced in rejection that all of us haven't at one point or another. And it's those that persevere, that stick with it, that learn not to let that derail you or fail you, but to give you that motivation to overcome it. There's a difference between failure and success. Not everybody makes it in this company to start. But the ones that do are transformed by the experience of knowing they can overcome anything. Of knowing that if you try hard enough and you're diligent enough about learning the process to succeed, you will succeed. But you gotta adapt and change along the way. The world's changing. And that's very clear from the video clips that we've seen. Technology is going at light speed. If you're doing the same thing over again, someone told me, you know, you might be on the right track, but if you're not moving, you're going to get run over. You know, the world is changing, and we have to keep up with it, and we have to succeed. We have to take the next step. Our pledge is to be the best advertising and people development company, period. We all need your help and input